Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to your Rangers Review Q&A show. It's a show that's run by you guys. I asked the question earlier on for you to send in as many Rangers questions as you can, and you guys have delivered as always. So thank you very much for that. With many of you, we've got an influx of members recently. So if you are new to the show, folks, then we do this every week, and it's an opportunity for you guys just to pose any questions that you have to Eel and myself. Sometimes I'm joined by one or two others as well. So I'm on my Todd this afternoon, but there is loads of questions to get through. So without much further ado, let's crack on in. And the first question comes from Stuart Balmer. Afternoon, Stuart. He says, how long are the fans going to have to listen to excuses and media apologists? It's a 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock, something of the fault. Players aren't getting enough sleep. Really fed up listening to it. And I personally really wonder if Clement is just going through the motions. I doubt anything happens at Rangers is going to damage his reputation. Listen, I don't think. Well, I know the manager. We touched on it in the show this morning when I was on with Chris. The manager did speak about the fixture scheduling with Rangers not making it back into Glasgow until the early hours of Friday, and then of course 12 o'clock kickoff on the Sunday isn't ideal. Not much preparation time, but I think when you sell yourself to the TV companies, then they are the ones calling the shots, and it is what it is. Unfortunately, we won't have that issue this week, of course, with Rangers playing St Johnstone at 8 p.m. on the Sunday, and the club of players, of course, and the management team won't have to jump on a plane anywhere. So, listen, Rangers, I felt were lacklustre yesterday, and I think part of that could be down to the lack of recovery time. I think it's also down to Hibs, I thought, played pretty well yesterday, and Rangers were far from their best. I don't think you could find many that would argue with that. So, it might be recovery time. You need to factor that in. But, it would. I think it's okay for the manager to discuss it after Rangers' positive result yesterday. If they had got beat, then it may be looked upon as sour grapes, if you like. But it is what it is. You just have to deal with it. I touched on it in the show this morning that Jurgen Klopp used to get it in the neck every time he brought it up when he was on Sky or Amazon Prime or what have you. I think he had a legitimate claim sometimes about Liverpool having to play on the early kickoff after European matches, but that is the modern game. Unfortunately, at the moment, players are having to play more games than ever, and it is what it is. I think ideally we would have liked a later kickoff on Sunday, but we're at the mercy of Sky, I am afraid. Martin Ferguson gets in touch. He says, who do you think should be given a midfield chance alongside Connor Barron? Phil doesn't seem to rate Raskin, and Dio hasn't hit the heights expected. Personally, I would like to see Bailey Rice given the opportunity. I would like to have seen Bailey Rice at half-time yesterday when Kieran Dill was brought on in place of Raskin. I don't see what Dill is providing that one of the academy lads wouldn't. Now, the manager, of course, sees these boys every day in training. I would like to see more of Bailey Rice. He's highly rated, and he doesn't really appear to be getting a look in at the moment. I mean, unused substitute on the bench. I think it's going to aid his development in any way, shape or form. And I think Andy Halliday brought it up last week, and it's something that Joshua brought up a couple of weeks ago. If you compare him to Lennon Miller, who is flying for Motherwell at this moment in time, you'd imagine that Bailey Rice would have been doing the same had he stayed at Motherwell, or even if he went out there on loan or to any other club, getting regular game time. I think that would benefit him much more than just watching from the sidelines. I would like to see more of him. Connor Barron has been him and Jeffrey, the signings of the summer. Another good performance from him yesterday. Barron, I thought he's been exceptional for Rangers. I think there's still a lot of development for him, but he's come in and grasped his opportunity. I didn't think he would play as much since he joined from Aberdeen, but he has done so. He doesn't seem to rate Raskin. I was surprised that he was taken off at half-time. Now, he wasn't Barry Ferguson reincarnated in the first half, but I thought he was deserving of more minutes on the pitch. I don't know if it was planned or it was down to a knock or what have you. But he was afforded an opportunity yesterday. He didn't necessarily set the header alight. Dio, of course, was rested due to he was carrying a knock after the win over Malmo, and the manager did not want to risk him with Lyon on the horizon. He says he should be ready for that match. I thought he was excellent against Malmo last week, and he will play. He'll come in and play against Lyon, you'd imagine. I think Barron, it'll be a midfield trio of Barron, Diamande, and probably Tom Lawrence based on his form at the moment. I don't think he's doing much wrong. He certainly looks a lot fitter than he has done, and it helps when he can score beauties like he did yesterday, which proved to be the decisive goal. I think Nadim Bayrami just has to bide his time if he wants to play in his favoured position. I think more likely he'll play out on the left until Rangers get players back. I'm not expecting Oscar Cortez anytime soon. Don't know what the script is with Rabi Matondo. I know he's training individually, but when he will be able to return, who knows? And Ross McCausland given the chance out wide left yesterday. Didn't really happen for him. I think I would much prefer him over on the right, and given Václav Černy's form of late, then I think he's in for a shout to play over on the right-hand side instead of the Czech. But it will be Diamande alongside Barron. Rangers should have brought in a proper number 6 in the transfer window. They didn't, and I think it's starting to show the lack of options in there. I think Rangers were overrun for large periods of that second half yesterday, and probably fortunate to come away with it unscathed, because Hibs did certainly look like scoring at Ibrox yesterday, and we need bodies in midfield. There's no two ways about it. Jonathan Hughes gets in touch. He says, how can we create a strong footballing identity that can deal with park the bus teams? I have struggled to enjoy our football for a long, long time. Yeah, good question, Jonathan. In terms of enjoying the football, enjoyed it on Thursday night, but that aside, I know what you're getting at. When was the last time Rangers really put in a 5-star showing, a performance that had fans purring, everyone really enjoying it? In terms of domestically, I'm struggling to think, to be honest with you. It has been a long time, and I don't know whether it's the way that Philippe Clement is looking to play against teams that play with a low block, whether that is the right way to go about things, whether he has the personnel to do what he's looking to do. I'm not entirely sure. He did say in his pre-match interview that he was looking for players to try and find the spaces in behind, because he did expect Hibs to set up very organised and to set them up, David Gray to set them up in a way that makes them hard to beat. So the onus is on Rangers and their creative players to look for solutions, and especially that first half and even the second half as well. They did struggle to break Hibs down. It did take an absolute belter from Tom Lawrence, but if that had been given as offside, or if it doesn't go in, then you're worrying where the Rangers goal is going to come from. If you look at the SG and Joshua at this moment in time, as we speak, we'll be delving into the detail and the analysis, but Hibs with a higher XG than Rangers. At Ibrox, that should not be happening, and there is real concern about the final third and Rangers not creating as many opportunities as they should be. Now, the opportunities they did create, I think Václav Černy should do better with the ball that's cut back to him by Igaman. Igaman had a shot himself that he just blazed over. Unfortunate, I think, for him. Sergio Dessers, I've seen him come in for a bit of criticism for his header that was saved by the goalkeeper. I think the goalkeeper deserves a lot of credit for that. I think it was a top drawer save. But really, we touched on it in the show this morning. Celtic have got a plus 20 goal difference. Rangers have got plus 6. And it's another point for Celtic pretty much. 5 ahead already. It's 6 when you factor in the goal difference, if not more. Rangers struggle to score goals. There's no two ways about it. We've been saying it for many years now. There's not enough goals coming from different areas of the pitch. I think you have to go back to the 55 season when a number of players were contributing, but we're over-reliant on Sergio Dessers and James Tavernier. Tavernier not hitting the numbers nowhere early on in the season, but he's certainly not hitting the numbers that he has done in the past. I don't think he will do so moving forward. So you are reliant on guys like Bayrami, guys like Czerny, as we touched on, Tom Lawrence to chip in with goals, and Hamza Igaman as well. So yeah, it's a tough one, and Rangers are a bit of a slog to watch at times. I struggle to think the last time I touched on there. Thursday was enjoyable. Europe, you don't necessarily worry about Rangers against European opposition. I think that plays into how Philippe Clement would like to play, pretty much like Gio, of course, his predecessor, and even Steven Gerrard as well. You enjoyed these matches because you had teams that came out and had a go against Rangers. I expect Thursday night will be the same with Lyon coming out and trying to impose their style on the game. It should make for a much more entertaining game than we witnessed on Sunday. But yeah, it is a problem that the manager certainly has to come to some sort of solution to try and beat these teams that play with the low block. Gary with the point, he says, yesterday would have been perfect time to rest Tav, but again, he was played. Do you think PC will ever drop or rest him? I think he's holding the team back and impacting Czerny's game. He's not going to rest Tavernier. It's plain to see, which goes I know we're early in the season again, but I mean, I touched on this before. He told Chris that he and Goldson, when he was still at the club, wouldn't play as many games as they have done in recent years. When's he going to get a rest? I'm not entirely sure. Even yesterday, Casemiro came on. Casemiro, Sterling and Tav are playing in the team. And Tav, interestingly, was moved sort of in field with Casemiro at right back, more or less. So I wonder if that's maybe the way forward to get Casemiro a game. I think there's a shout certainly for Narecio to come in and play in some position against Lyon. They do have attacking threats in the wide areas. Tav, you'd imagine they'll look to exploit Rangers' right-hand side. Would an idea maybe moving Tav in field and Casemiro on the right? Who knows? But he's not going to get a rest. It's clear. I think we're now looking at, if you look at the games coming up, he's not going to be rested against St Johnstone, you'd imagine. I think we're now looking at the early rounds of the Scottish Cup if Rangers get a favourable tie, which seems, I mean, it's a long way away, but the manager insistent on playing Tavernier. It's clear to me that he does not trust the other players to come in and for the captain to take a back seat at this moment in time. So yeah, I think we're going to have to persevere with Tavernier at this moment in time. A few comments coming in on Tav, interestingly. Neil with the point says Tav is too slow to run up and down the park. He's definitely holding Czerny back. Sterling should be a right back every second game at least. Even yesterday, Sterling came on and he was playing in the advanced position again. Thought he did well, incidentally, Dujon, when he came on. But yeah, we're not getting the same output from Tav this season. It's clear. And defensively, I think it's a weak link for Rangers. I thought he did well on Thursday night. There was points where I think he was ball watching at times, and Rangers got away with it a few moments of slackness. But yeah, it is a concern, especially coming up against top draw teams as Lyon will be on Thursday. But to your question, Gary, when will he be rested or dropped? I don't think he will. Neil with the point says, do you think Clement had a part to play in Rangers' performance yesterday? Playing Ross on the left and insisting that Czerny stops to allow Tav to stroll past him so he can give the ball away. We are awful down the right side yesterday. Czerny is an impact sub for the right only. Yeah. And just on Czerny as well, he's come in for a bit of criticism. I thought he had a poor game yesterday. I mean, he's trying things, but they're not coming off. He looks like a player that is struggling for confidence at this moment in time. Having a go at the fans is not a great look either. So let's just hope he can try and find some form. I've got concerns. He has a bit of a one-trick pony. He always likes to come in on that left-hand side, doesn't he? And I think if you're coming up against him as a defender, it's easy to defend against. I like my wingers to have an ability with both their feet to be able to go one way or the other. And Czerny just is only able to go one way, isn't he? So yeah, I think it's a decision for the manager to make on Thursday. I expect Czerny to start because I mean he does have quality. Who are the alternatives over on that right hand side? Like you say, Neil, I think McCausland was deserving of a start yesterday, given his contribution on Thursday night, but over on the left, it doesn't work. And he was hooked at half-time, which showed you that the manager wasn't too impressed either. So, yeah, I still think it's a problematic area for Rangers down at that right-hand side. Right, let's crack on. Neil's got a few questions that have popped in. He says, why do you think they took so long to allow Tom's goal? It's like they were looking for an instant around that goal not to give it. Yeah, they were pretty sharpish in raising the flag, wasn't they, and calling it for offside, but that VR was used correctly yesterday. The two incidents, I know that Philip Clement is watching. He certainly disagrees with the penalty decision. I thought both were bang on. The only gripe I have is the amount of time it takes to reach a decision. I mean, it was clear that he was onside. And even the handball as well. I think as soon as you see it, go over to the monitor and make a decision. Let's not mess about here. So yeah, just a bit of a faff reaching the correct call. Blazing Blue 72 gets in touch. The timing of the game on Sunday is a disgrace. When players have flown back early hours on a Friday and early game on a Sunday. Do you think we should see a benefit on Thursday? No flights and early Sunday kickoff means more rest. I'd like to think so, buddy. Like I say, the only thing I'm not best pleased at the timing. I mean, it's all right giving players more time to recover after a European game. 8 o'clock on a Sunday is just a bit off for me. Now, I know it's a one-off with the Great Scottish Run taking place in Glasgow. Rangers wanted the game moved to McDiarmid Park, and the match moved back to Ibrox. Sort of the fixtures reversed, if you like, but the SPFL insistent on that game going ahead at Ibrox on Sunday, which is why it's a later kickoff. You'd like to see the players being more energetic, have a more vibrancy about them. And I know some have criticised the atmosphere at Ibrox on Sunday. I think there's a number of factors for that. One, 12 o'clock kickoffs are far from ideal. And two, it's all right saying the fans need to be up for it and create more of an atmosphere, but the players deserve a bit of flack for that as well. The fans will react to what they are seeing unfolding on the pitch, and if there's nothing happening, it's hard for them to keep it going and keep the players G'd up with that regard. So let us know if you disagree. If you were at Ibrox yesterday, I know some criticising, apart from the Union Bears, there wasn't much in the way of an atmosphere, but I think that there wasn't much to shout about yesterday. Just on the fixture scheduling again, we sort of touched on that. It's not ideal, but Sky call the shots, or whoever is showing the game. Right, Stuart gets back in touch. He says, we need a number 6 that can control a game and an actual striker that can score. Sitters, when they come along in the team's backs against the wall. The Rangers squad for me is too light, especially when you factor in injuries. I expect there to be more injuries as we head into the winter months as well. January is a long time away for me, and I think, I would like to have seen at least a midfielder and another forward player coming in the summer window. Jan gets in touch. Hi, Derek. Why did we end the game with 3 right backs on the park? Absolute nonsense, refusing to even rotate Tav. The right side is the problem, our problem side, and needs sorted. Yep, sort of touched on that, Jan, there. It was interesting to see Casemiro settling and Tav, with Tav sort of inverted in a sort of a defensive holding midfield role over on the right-hand side. I think that a Casemiro for Tav would have been my substitution, but with the match finally poised at 1-0, I can understand why he'd keep Tavernier on, and it just goes into that previous discussion. When you drop Tav, it doesn't look like he is going to be dropped unless Rangers are. I mean, yesterday would have been if Rangers were three up. Then I think it would be ample opportunity for the captain to come off and get a bit of a breather. But I just don't think he trusts the team without Tavernier in it. And you just have to go with the manager on that one, I'm afraid. Kev Miller with an interesting question here. Hi, Derek. I noticed Miovski is not starting in Spain so far. If that continued, would you be in favour of a January approach, even on loan? Girona may be easier to deal with than the Dons were. Yeah, I've not paid much attention to Girona, I've got to say. I know he was on the bench for their Champions League opener. Was it a couple of weeks ago? To be fair, it's a step up from Aberdeen, isn't it? Going to play for a La Liga side that have qualified for the Champions League. I'm not sure if he would be available in January. If he is, if it is a loan move, then I would be all over it. So if it's an opportunity to go out and play football, then Miovski certainly, I would be keen on that deal. He's someone that knows the leagues. He's someone I think that would guarantee you goals. I think Rangers certainly will have to bring in reinforcements in January, even if Danilo gets back up to fitness, which I'm not holding out much hope that we're going to see much of him before January. I know he had that setback after recovering from his knee injury. I know he's training individually. I just don't think Danilo is the answer at this moment in time. Now, you can let us know if you disagree, folks, in the comments. I don't think it's a case of once he gets back in contention, then he's just going to start banging the goals in. He wasn't necessarily doing that before he got injured. I'm not entirely sure he's going to do it if he comes back and if he steers clear of injury. So I do think Rangers need another option. Hamza Igeman obviously started yesterday, never had much service, and I think he certainly looks like a lad with potential, but I don't think he's someone you can start, especially not on Thursday night. It will be Cyril Dessers, and next Sunday, I'd imagine Dessers would start with Igeman coming off the bench and contributing in the game. But Rangers are light in the forward areas, as I touched on earlier. I thought that we'd go look to the free agent market even and bring in a short-term option when we knew of Danilo's injury situation. They've never done that. Ironically, one of the boys that Hibs brought off the bench yesterday almost scored, almost had a heart attack when I seen the cross come in, is Dwight Gale, and I got a bit of heat for saying that Rangers should have been looking at that as a short-term deal, at least until January. I think he would have certainly been a good squad option for Rangers on a freebie. But they decided not to go down that route. I'm just concerned, as I touched on earlier on in the show, there's not enough goals in this Rangers squad at the moment. And January's a long way away. So where are the goals going to come from? Fortunately, Tom Lawrence is contributing that side. We need to see more from other players on the pitch. Right, let's get to. But Miovski, absolutely, Kev. I'd be all over that if that would be an option in January. Neil, with a few more points, says we've got no chance taking the league from Celtic this year. They're as strong as they've ever been in recent history. Yep, said it after the Old Firm game. I think Rangers are playing for second. As galling as that is, Celtic just look far too strong. I struggle to see where they will drop points, other than you'd like to think at Ibrox when Rangers get the opportunity to play them at New Year. They'll need to win that game for me, and I have my doubts whether the gap will still be 5 points. I certainly hope it is, or even less than that, but I've got a worrying feeling that it's going to be bigger than what it is just now. Steve-O with a point. I don't want to go overboard, but it sickens me to say that lot have the look of a team that could go unbeaten in the league. Not sure we will need to be concerned about the goal difference. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, their head and shoulders are better than Rangers at the moment. You look at that Rangers team. I know Chris Boyd brought it up after the recent Old Firm defeat, and you're thinking, what player makes that Celtic first 11? What player makes even the bench at Celtic? And you're struggling. There's no two ways about it. Jack Butland, maybe, as opposed to Kasper Schmeichel, even though I think that Schmeichel is a very good goalkeeper. But you're thinking, let's go through that Rangers team. Is there anyone that would stake a claim in the first team? I think centre backs, you're thinking maybe someone for Scales. Jeffrey, I would have it at left back. Certainly, I think he would have a shout of starting for Celtic, but that aside, you're really struggling. That tells you where both squads are at this moment in time. Neil, we touched on that one. And his last question, I promise, do you think Lawrence is getting back to the player we thought he'd be? And if so, do you think he should start at the first pick 10? Danilo hasn't shown us anything. I think he is. Don't want to go overboard on Tom Lawrence because, of course, I don't think he's a long-term answer, but at this moment in time, he looks sharper, he's contributing, and he's scoring goals. And that's all you can ask. I can understand why he's been playing in the number 10 position, and I can see him starting there on Thursday against Lyon. It's always been an issue with fitness with Tom Lawrence. Of course, he suffered that really bad injury early on in his Rangers career, and that sort of hampered him. But he looks good. He looks like he's enjoying his football, and long may it continue. That certainly looks like more like the player that I was expecting when Rangers acquired him from Derby a couple of seasons ago. So, let's hope we can keep that form up. Right, that'll do us there. That's the questions dried up. So, thank you, folks, as ever. It's very much appreciated. And thank you, as ever, for your support to the channel. Just a heads up of what is to come this week on the Rangers Review Extra channel. We've got our interview with the Leon podcaster yesterday, which is bang on 10. We'll go live with that one. So we hope you can join us for that straight off the back of tomorrow's morning briefing. Chris and Stevie are back this week with their new show, The Talking Point. Not entirely sure what they're talking about this week, but it's always worth a watch. We'll have a press conference reaction video. I'm actually off on Wednesday, so it will be, I'm not too sure who will be on the Yoki for that one, but after Philip Clement conducts his press conference, it will give our reactions to that. So certainly plenty to come. Adam and Joshua are also going to record a tactics show this week. So inundated with shows to come. So keep your eyes peeled for all of those. Right, I'm heading off now. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, folks, and we'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye for now.